All right. So I guess we'll get going in a couple minutes here. Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, so it looks like there's only a handful of you over here. I wanted to spend at least part of the time today finding out if everyone was able to access the midterm exam, and also checking and making sure there weren't any technical problems. Uh, okay, so more people are starting to show up. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, I guess we'll wait maybe one more minute for a few more people to appear. All right, so a couple more people coming in here. Um, so yeah, actually, maybe I'll wait until after. All right. So there were just a couple of things I wanted to go over, uh, having to do with. I just want to finish up the discussion of chapter 7, and and then I wanted to, spend the rest of the time um, making sure that there weren't any technical problems with the midterm exam, which is now open. Um, okay, so are there any questions before I get into any of that? All right. Okay, so let's see where we're at here. Um, so basically, where we're at is we're looking at the end of chapter 7. So this week, there wasn't any discussion, there's no quiz except for the midterm. Um, So, you know, if you've gone through the reading and so on, you'd probably be somewhere toward the end here. So I wanted to spend some time taking a look at these last couple of sections here. Actually, this last one really. So what's happening here is that they're talking about, you know, how energy is used in the world. Okay, and so they, you know, they give a pretty good general overview of things, but you know, the information they have here is kind of out of date. I think, let's see, what they say is, yeah, this is energy consumption. You know, they have the pie chart, and it's from 2006, right? So you can get more up-to-date numbers on Wikipedia. Wikipedia has some pretty decent, you know, information about this. The other thing is, so besides being out of date, the other thing to keep in mind is that, you know, they're only kind of telling part of the story here. So let's see if we can unpack some of that. So basically what they're saying is that in order to, you know, have, you know, a technological civilization like what we have, you know, it's got to have energy. Okay, and so this much is true. You know, this much is obvious. Okay, but and they explain how a lot of the energy that we have these days is coming from, you know, burning fossil fuels, right? And so fossil fuels includes coal, oil, and natural gas. All right, you know, this sort of stuff. You know, and I would even argue, you know, not everyone, but many people, including myself, would argue that something like nuclear power is also fossil fuel, because you know, once you use up the uranium, you know, that's it, it's gone, right? So maybe, you know, but you know, it isn't really a fossil per se. I don't know, I suppose you could argue that, you know, the uranium that's in the ground that you put into a nuclear reactor, well, you know, it's the place it came from is it was produced in supernovas, right? So these are exploding stars that have so much energy that they can actually create new forms of matter. Those of you that take physics 220 will learn about, you know, how things like uranium get formed in stars. And so then when these stars explode, you know, they scatter these materials all over the, you know, the universe. And, you know, some of it, you know, ends up in planet Earth, right? So planet Earth forms, you know, out of a cloud of gas and dust out there in space. And then, you know, it coalesces into this planet that we live on now. And so then some of these uranium, you know, thorium, you know, these materials end up in the Earth's crust. And so in that sense, it's a fossil, right? You know, it's a leftover from something that happened a very long time ago, right? And when you dig up this uranium and you put it in a reactor, you know, it burns up and it turns into waste products that cannot be, you know, used after, right? So it's certainly a non-renewable, right? Whether it's fossil, I suppose, is, you know, most people think of fossils as being things that used to be alive, right? But I guess I have maybe a slightly broader definition of what a fossil is. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is that the main source of our energy today continues to be, you know, these sort of non-renewable sources of energy, and the discussion here in the book does a pretty good job of explaining, that. But I think what is kind of missing, there's a couple things missing from the discussion. Thing number one is that because our energy is mainly coming from these fossil fuels, right? And nuclear is not part of this now. The main fossil fuels, they contain carbon, okay? And so when you burn them up, what ends up happening is that the carbon that was in the fuel ends up in the atmosphere, okay? And this is not desirable. When the atmosphere fills up with carbon, it causes the atmosphere to basically trap more heat, right? And where's this heat coming from? Most of it is just coming from the sun. Sun's pretty hot, but some of it is also coming from the earth itself, or the things that are happening here on earth. Later on in the course, when we get into thermodynamics, that's chapter 15, we're going to talk about why is it that every time you convert energy from one form to another, why is there always going to be a little bit of heat that gets generated, waste energy that shows up as heat. Okay, so everything that we do here on planet Earth that involves energy is going to generate some heat. And so not only is the sun producing heat that comes over from the sun, and warms up the earth. The biological processes that are happening here on Earth, the industrial processes, our technological civilization, all these things are generating heat. Even using your computer, right? You've got to pass electrical current. Again, you learn about electricity and magnetism if you take physics 220. You've got to pass current through wires, okay? And as you do that, your computer gets hot, right? So it's spitting out heat. And so the more carbon there is, the more carbon there is in the atmosphere, the harder time any heat that's here on Earth, harder time it has getting out and escaping. And so what it means is that the Earth is just going to heat up, okay? And so if the Earth heats up, this is not desirable. The first thing you may notice, or you will notice as the Earth heats up, and of course this is a fairly gradual process, in terms of the human, lifetime, it seems like it takes a long time, but sort of geological timescales, this is very rapid. So as the Earth heats up, what ends up happening is the ice caps, the poles begin to melt away, okay? And then the ocean, partly because of all the melting ice, but also partly because the ocean itself is just heating up, it expands, right? So the sea level rises. And so then coastlines get flooded, all right? And so, you've got coastlines shifting around. 50% of our, municipalities, right, cities, towns, right, are within just a few miles of the coast. And so estimates are that something like, essentially 50% of our economy would just vanish, right, because it gets flooded out. Okay, so there's that. Then there's also, there's other knock-on effects. The ocean becomes more acidic, so coral starts dying off, fish, populations deplete. It's, in general, it's not something we want to have happen at all. This is basically climate change, right? Climate change is very dangerous. And so they don't really talk too much about climate change in here. And I think that's a pretty serious omission. Because climate change is an extremely serious problem, and it needs to be paid attention to, talked about. And I think it's this book does a disservice by not mentioning it enough. So now what they do talk about though is how renewable energy is good. Okay, and so you see here we have they show the picture of the solar panels. And so again, you know, in this part of the course, or actually in this course, we don't get to really look at how solar panels work, or you know, how electricity, you know, happens. That's material for Physics 220. But but basically what the book says is that, you know, it's better if we have renewable energy instead of the type that gets used up, right? And so the type that gets used up, you know, includes the, you know, coal, you know, all the fossil, you know, fuels, coal, oil, right? Uh, it also includes nuclear, okay? But nuclear, um, the good thing about it is that, you know, it doesn't add carbon to the atmosphere, or at least, you know, it adds only a negligible amount. But all the others, right, they add huge amounts of carbon to the atmosphere, and we absolutely don't want that. Okay, so uh, but the thing that they are kind of missing, the point that they're missing over here, is that yes, it is true that the renewables are better, all right, and yes, they don't add as much carbon, um, but they do add some. And the problem with the renewables, especially you know, things like wind, you know, so with the wind, you basically have like a big windmill that turns and generates electricity as the wind blows. Um, and also solar has this problem as well, you know, to a slightly lesser degree, is that you know, the sun isn't always shining, the wind isn't always blowing, right? And so it means that the energy that gets generated, you know, kind of has these ups and downs. And so that's actually less useful. Okay, it's much better, or it's much more useful if your energy source is predictable and reliable. It's always on, right? And you get to decide when to shut it down and when to, right? That's better. If it's kind of unpredictable and it comes and it goes, you know, then that's much less useful. Um, and so what ends up happening is that if you have a solar, um, you know, a power plant that provides solar, or a power plant that provides wind, usually it also has a backup source of power, which is fossil fuel. Okay, so so the book makes it seem like, yeah, if we replace everything with the renewables, everything will be fine. And yeah, okay, it'll be better, but you know, it still doesn't solve the problem of the carbon, right? Because there has to be, there's pretty much going to have to be some fossil fuel involved, um, and that's not desirable. Um, so I mean, and then, you know, the other thing, they sort of hint at this part here, but they don't actually attack it, you know, head on. So they come down here and they say, hey, look, you know, if you look at economic, they call it economic well-being, right? And this is misleading. You know, I may write a letter to the publisher, you know, to tell them that, you know, the way they're presenting this is slightly irresponsible. But anyway, they call it economic well-being, and they say that economic well-being means that your gross domestic product per capita is high, right? Um, and so they say that in order to have the high gross domestic product, you have to be consuming lots of energy. So you see, you know, it's a trend, right? You could probably even do the line nest, you know, like how you do in lab, and you can find that, hey, it's got a positive slope. You know, the R squared here, yeah, it may be like, you know, 0.7 or something, right? That's not too bad, right? Okay, so it says, yeah, you have to be consuming huge amounts of energy in order to have economic well-being, right? So I would say that, okay, fine, but the problem is that I think that um, well-being is not necessarily, you know, gross domestic product, right? Because, so what is gross domestic product? That says you're producing things and earning money for it, right? And so we're saying that if you're producing more things and earning more money, then you're better off economically, right? Um, The thing is, though, is that there's a whole bunch of things that are important and necessary and done all the time that do not get included in gross domestic product, right? Like if you buy a house, okay, so somebody had to, build the house, right? And so, materials went into it and, people worked on it. And so that production of the house goes into the gross domestic product. But once you've built the house and you move in, right, you're going to sweep the floor. You're probably going to sweep the floor of the house, mop it or whatever, thousands of times, right? But that doesn't go into gross domestic product. But it's important, right? You want to mop your floor. You want to sweep the house. This is something you should be doing. And your well-being, your family, and your house will be better off if you do that, right? But the activity of mopping the floor does not get added to the gross domestic product. Probably a better example is if you look at childcare, right? Like raising children. Most people who raise children don't get paid for it, okay? And so it doesn't get included in gross domestic product. But if we didn't raise children, our society would collapse. We wouldn't even have an economy, right? So I think this is an extremely misleading way to characterize how well off a society is. And so to me, it's not a given necessarily that if you want to be well off, you have to be, adding, consuming huge amounts of energy and adding tremendous amounts of carbon to the atmosphere. And then the other thing is that what they say here is that, okay, the U.S. is, the U.S. is extremely well off, right? We have this very high gross domestic product. But if you look at why are we so well off, quote unquote, we are so well off because we maintain extremely high inequity in our society, right? I mean, here we have we have billionaires, right? We've got people like Jeff Bezos, right? Who he looks like he's on track to become the world's first trillionaire, okay? Within 10 years or something, like if he keeps up this rate of growth of his wealth. But we also have, hundreds of thousands, actually now I think it may soon be millions of people who are homeless, right? People who are living in life-threatening forms of poverty, okay? And so to me, it means little that you average together Jeff Bezos and a bunch of homeless people and you get this 35,000, right? To me that doesn't look like a society that has very much well-being in it. So anyway, the only reason I'm telling you all this is because I would like you to, sort of read through this stuff, and I would like you to take, some of these things with a grain of salt, and do some of your own additional research, to kind of put some of these ideas into perspective, and then then you can sort of begin to really grasp what the implications are of a lot of this. Now, there are also a couple other things they say in here. Let's see. Like I said, this is kind of out of date. So let's see if we go to. Let's see. They said it's out of date. Oh yeah, here we go. They say Germany plans to meet 20% of its electricity and 10% of its overall energy with renewable sources by the year 2020. Okay, and so this statement is out of date, and so I have here, I think, yeah, this is Germany. Okay, you can get this on Wikipedia. So you see here, Germany, they reached 10%, somewhere between 2010 and 2011, and today they're at like 13%. Okay, so So yeah, so to give you a little bit of context. Or actually, sorry, this is 2017. I think today they're a little bit higher than that, a little bit higher than 13%. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's me. I guess I can get down from my soapbox now. Any questions about what we've said so far? Okay. So let me see. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people logged into the call right now. Okay. So let's see. I could do another example, but um, I think I'd rather make sure that everyone is okay with the midterm. So because I would like to be using at least part of the time here, probably most of it, to make sure that people are not having technical problems. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up these, let's see here. I'm going to set up some breakout rooms real quick. Okay. Okay. And yeah, that looks pretty good.
To review questions?
No, I want to make sure that you can actually log in and that you actually have the right link and so on. And also, if you have questions, you can answer. And if you don't feel comfortable answering them in front of everybody, you can answer it, with me one-on-one. Okay, so this shouldn't take very long. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms right now. Okay. All right. Okay, how's it going, Nicole?
Hi, Professor.
Are you able to access the midterm exam okay?
Yeah, so I can get to the page fine. Do you want me to try actually clicking on take the quiz? I took the practice exam and that worked fine as well. So the setup,
Oh,
initial setup looks fine.
okay. And so you haven't actually tried opening it yet?
No, not yet. No,
Okay.
I have it open. I can try it right now.
Yeah, go ahead and open and then look through, make sure that the question makes sense, or if you need any clarifications, um, let me know and then I can try to clarify. So
Okay.
I'll circle back and after you've kind of done that and had a look at it, then I'll come back and then I can answer your questions. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Okay. All right. Hold on. Um, all right. So, Rachel, are you having any issues accessing the exam?
I don't think so. I was able to click on the link that you sent out and it opened up the midterm. The only thing I wasn't just like a practice quiz, like screenshots of our work. Is that it? Okay. Then yeah, I think I was able to open it okay.
Okay. And then, if you, if you when you open it and start looking at the questions, you know, if you find any typos or whatever, or if you if something needs clarification, you can send me email, or if you want to take a moment to just do that and look through at the questions,
Okay.
that's fine. And then, you know, I can circle back around
Okay.
and answer. Okay.
Okay. And then it's due tomorrow night. Is that right?
Tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will look at it. And it's not timed, so I can open it now and like come back to it later.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great.
All right.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good. Yep. Okay, so let me join. Oh, I'm in 3 right now. Okay, let me join. All right, see you later. How's it going, Zane? Can you hear me? Oh, uh, okay. Yes, hi.
Sorry, my other device not working.
Oh, okay, no worries. You doing okay?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
All right. So are you able to access the midterm, no problem?
Yes, I can access the midterm.
Do you have any, do you need any clarifications of anything?
Um, just one maybe. Did you want us to attach an image?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you do it like how, you know, how the practice one is, just, you know, embed the image in there.
Okay.
And you don't think you see any typos or anything like that? If you do, you can just, you send me email, or, or if you found any, you can ask me about it now.
Oh, I haven't found any yet.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So let me go to the next one here. Okay, we'll see you later.
Thanks. See you later.
Yep. All right, how's it going over here?
Hi, Professor.
Hi, so any trouble or questions with the midterm?
Not really.
All
I
right,
haven't really looked at it, but yeah, I'll do it once I get the chance to.
okay. You know, if you would, see if you can open it right now. You
Okay.
can start, it's not timed or anything, so you can, you know, you can immediately close it and then you can come back later. I
Oh,
just want to make sure that, you know, it's accessible, and that, you know, people aren't having any issues.
okay, I'll do that right now.
Okay, cool.
Is it under the assignments? Oh wait, I see it. Yeah, I was able to open it.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, if you would just take a look at the questions, you know, and if there's any, like, you know, check, make sure there's no typos. There should be exactly 4 questions, you know, that type of thing.
4 questions. Yeah, 4 questions we would 4 points each.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we'll
Okay.
see you later. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, let's see. What room am I in right now? I am
4.
with, oh, I'm in 4. Thank you. All right.
Mm.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay, how's it going over here? Do you have any questions or issues with the midterm? You're able to access it, no problem?
Yeah.
Okay, and were you actually able to open it and start it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And there's 4 questions, no typos that you found?
No, I didn't find anything wrong with it.
Perfect. All right, that's great. So I'll see you later. Okay. So that's okay. I need to go to the next one. All right. All right. See you later. Okay. How's it going over here? You all set with the midterm?
Yeah, I think I had access to it last night. I haven't taken it yet, but I'm probably gonna take it after I go through the review with Emily or Emil.
Okay, that's great. So the only thing I would say is, before you leave this session, please open it up and actually start it. It's okay. It's not timed.
Okay.
And
And
then
the answer or the questions don't change when I go back and forth, do they?
no, they don't.
Okay. I was curious about that because I usually do like the homework or just like test on my computer, but I have like a tablet that I do my work on where I like write out everything. And I know I have to upload my work, but I was curious if I had to like if I logged out and then like emailed everything or opened it up on my laptop. Right.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
everything.
static.
It'll
So
be okay.
yeah, you should be able to. You can open it and close it as many times as you want, and it'll keep your place. Right. The only thing is, don't click submit. If you click submit, then
Yeah.
it's gonna submit.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, but you
I'll
can
be
always
mindful
close
of
it
that.
and then resume.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm looking at it right now, and yeah, I got 4 questions and all that, so it looks like it's supposed to.
All right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much for checking.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
Thank you.
Yep. All right. We'll see you later.
All right, take care.
Okay. Hang on. What room is this now?
I think it was 6. Are we still doing lecture after this, or is
Um,
this?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring everyone back to
Okay, yeah,
the main
I'll just hang out
session.
then.
Yeah, okay.
All right, for
Okay,
sure.
okay, cool. All right. How's it going over here? Everything okay?
It's good. I see the midterm on
Okay.
the modules. So,
Okay, that's great. Now, so what I'd like you to do is go ahead and click on it and then even do start quiz, click on that because I want to make sure it comes up and don't worry, it's not timed or anything.
okay.
So, you should be able to close it and then, resume it later. Okay.
Okay.
But
It's open. So you want me to close it right now?
no, I want you to check, make sure that there's actually 4 questions and that there's no typos and that sort of thing.
Okay. So there's 4 total,
All right.
and
Perfect.
just skimming it, I don't see any typos.
All right. Sounds good. So, okay. Let's see. You're Jason, right? Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, just take a few more minutes, to have a look at it. I'm gonna restart the main session, and then, if there are any questions, you can ask, or if you see something right now, you can ask, and then, I think I'm just gonna go over maybe one more thing, and then, and I think that'll be it for today. 'Cause
Okay.
really
I do
want-
have a quick question
go
though.
ahead.
As you said about closing it. So
Mhm.
if I have other Zooms to attend to and I stop, say, halfway, would I be able to have the option to reopen the previous session again, or will it make me start over?
Oh, on Zoom?
Sorry, the midterm.
Yeah, so if you close it and then go back to it, instead of saying start quiz, it'll say resume quiz, and you can resume. And
That's
you'll
if I didn't click submit.
if you didn't click submit. Yeah, if you click submit, then that's it. You know, you got to start over.
Okay,
Okay. So
I
yeah,
got it.
that's something to keep in mind.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sounds great. So yeah, so in a couple minutes, then I'll close all the rooms and bring everyone back to the main session, and then we'll move on. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so let's see, what room am I in right now? Let's see, I'm with Jason. Oh, this is 8. Okay, I got you. All right, here we go. All right. Okay. Okay, so that's a problem.
Professor, I'm confused. What are we checking the link for? What did you tell us to do? I think I missed that bit.
Okay, so I mainly want to make sure people can actually open the midterm exam and can actually, you know, if you click start, does it actually come up? Do you actually get the 4 questions? You know, are there any typos, that sort of thing? And then,
Wait, I thought once we click on it, we can't go back to it.
no,
So
you
that's what
can. Yeah,
Oh,
so you,
it's not gonna randomly submit if we like go back to something or.
no. So you should, the key thing is you don't click submit, right? So you can shut down the window, or you can, you know, exit your browser, and then when you come back, if you click on it again, instead of saying start quiz, it'll say resume quiz. So you click resume and it'll take you back to where you were the last time you're working on it. Okay.
And everything will be saved and it
Yeah,
won't restart.
it'll be saved. Yeah, the important thing is do not click submit. If you do click submit, then you'll be forced to start back over again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But of course, when you really want to submit, do click submit.
Does the practice exam do the same thing? Because I
Yeah.
saw it, but I can go back to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know what the other students say. I guess I'll check it.
Yeah, so the other ones, they did the same thing, and it seems to work. So, but yeah, main thing is I wanted, you know, I wanted, you know, if anyone's having trouble with any of that, I wanted to offer support during this time, because this is the only time that we'll have, you know, lecture in between when I assign the midterm and when it's due.
And then I was actually going to email you. I was supposed to email you yesterday. I think I want to choose Saturday. So since it says it's open, or you know, the official due date is Friday, it's not going to close randomly, right? If I
No, it's
start
not
on
going to close.
Friday.
No, all that's going to happen is that Canvas is going to tell me that it was late, but you know, but I just ignore that, right? So so yeah, if you want to submit Saturday, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sounds good. So what I'm going to do is there's one other student who I'm going to check in with like this, and then I'm going to go back to the main session, and then I think we're just going to go over one other thing that I had, and then I think, you know, that if you have questions, of course, ask them, but that'll pretty much be it for today. Okay.
Okay, got it.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Okay, Frazian, how's it going? Were you able to get to the midterm?
Yes, I was able to get to it. Thank you.
Okay, and like, did you actually click on start and open and look at the questions?
I did.
Okay, perfect. And there's 4 of them. You didn't see any typos, nothing like that?
Not that I noticed. I'm sure there weren't any typos.
Sounds good. All right. So yeah, this was just to check, you know, because people sometimes have technical issues with these things.
Oh yeah, that
you know,
definitely happens.
This is my first time doing this sort of thing. Well, actually, it's my second time. So yeah, I want to make sure everyone can really get in. Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm just gonna reopen the main session. There's like one other thing I just wanted to go over real quick, and then if you have any questions, you can ask them, and then that would be it for this morning.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna go to our breakout rooms. I'm gonna close all rooms. It'll take 1 minute. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm just waiting for folks to reappear here. Okay, looks real good. Everyone's back. Okay, so I just had one last thing that I wanted to take a look at. This is something I had wanted to look at last on Tuesday, but I didn't have time. So let us see. Well, actually, before I do that, are there any questions? All right, if there's any questions, yeah, you feel free to mute yourself and ask away, or you can just put in the chat. Okay, so
I was actually going to ask about the extra credit, the mental health workshop. Did that pass already?
yeah, that already took place. So now the only sort of thing you'll have for that's like that is the science in action. So that's going to be every Tuesday, and so every time you do science in action, just put the screenshot on the what's that thing called, the discussion for it. Okay, and then at the end of the semester, I'll add up all your points and add them to your total.
Professor, for
yeah, go
that,
ahead.
I attended, but I just haven't done the write-up. Is it too late to do that?
No, it's not too late.
Okay.
And in fact, yeah, so go ahead anytime. Just put your, did you capture a screenshot while you were attending?
No, because I didn't. I thought we were supposed to follow the instructions for the extra credit. It said we need to write something about the different vignettes that we saw. We need to choose one of the vignettes and write.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're
About.
talking about the mental health thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as soon as you have that write up and you submit it, then yeah, that's fine. It doesn't.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. There's no deadline. There's no deadline. Yeah. There's no deadline. Whenever you get to it, you can submit it for credit. Let's see. I was going to ask. So did anybody who's here, by the way, attend the Tuesday's Science in Action?
Yes.
So I heard there was like an incident, like somebody broke in and like caused they posted some offensive material and the whole thing had to get shut down. Is that what happened?
I came a little bit later, but they did discuss that happened, that somebody overtook they annotated the screen.
Oh my gosh.
That the speaker had from his presentation, and they were kind of unsure how to stop it. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Yeah, fortunately, I've never had that experience, and I hope I never do. But yeah, but please don't let this discourage anyone from attending Science in Action, because
Of course not.
yeah,
You have rogue people that'll do anything that they can get away with. So
this is true. This is true. Sad but true. Okay, so what I wanted to do is, let's see, I want to look at this guy here. Let's see where we're at. Okay. All right. Yeah, just because your gross domestic product is high doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Okay, so what am I looking for? Here we go. So I wanted to take a look at this problem here. It looks like several people missed this. And I think knowing how to do this will maybe help you slightly on the midterm. So let's take a look here. So it says if you ride a bicycle, you've got to lean at the correct angle when you make a turn, as seen in the figure. And in order to be stable, so what do they mean by stable? They mean you don't flop onto the ground or something, right? So in order to be stable, oh yeah, and by the way, we're going to learn more about statics and stability when we do the chapter. Well, after we've done rotational motion, then we'll look at statics, and then you'll know more about what it means to be stable. So the force must be on a line going through the center of gravity, right? So this center of gravity here. This is also the barycenter, right? Remember when we looked at the planets and they're orbiting the barycenter? This, it turns out you and I, everything has a barycenter, right? And so for this guy, it looks like it's around where his heart is, okay? And so so the force exerted by the ground must be on a line going through the barycenter of the person. And so you might be wondering, but how come the force is like this? How come the force exerted by the ground isn't just straight up, right? Like the normal force usually is. Well, the thing is, this force has a component of static friction added to it, right? And so, so what you get here, right, they tell you is that this force is really the sum of the normal force and the static friction force, right? So the ground is gripping the bicycle tire and it's preventing it from moving side to side like this, okay? It's gripping. So so the force can be resolved into the components, like I just said. And so they want you to calculate the angle for an 11 meters per second turn of a radius of 30 meters. And so all you have to do is you simply must do some trigonometry. Okay. So what we have is we've got the F force, and then we've got the lowercase f force, and then we've got the normal force. Okay, and remember, vectors are portable. You can move them wherever it suits you, right? You just can't extend them or shrink them, or change their angle, their direction, without fundamentally changing the vector. But you can pick them up and move them around, place them wherever you like, because that doesn't fundamentally change the vector. So I, instead of drawing the normal vector here, I drew it over here so that we make a nice little triangle here. And then they told us that this angle was theta, which means that this angle is the same. So this is that same angle theta. And so now, so we know what the magnitude of this force is. So the magnitude of F, it's a centripetal force. So that means it's going to be mv squared over R because it is a centripetal force. All right, and then this guy, what about the normal force? So how do we get the normal force? Well, we know that the cyclist has a weight, okay? And so if we draw the free body diagram, just the vertical part of it, for the cyclist, we have the normal pushing upwards, and we have the weight pulling downwards. And the cyclist is not accelerating in this direction, so that means these have to add up to 0. And so the normal force is equal to the negative of the weight. And so the magnitude of the normal force is equal to the weight. And so, so this pretty much is equal to, I put the minus sign back because G points downwards, right? G, the vector, points downwards. Okay, and so, so basically what we're talking about is that the tangent of this angle is going to be the length of the magnitude of this vector divided by the magnitude of this one. So we would say that the tangent of that angle is going to be F divided by N, which is equal to mv squared over R divided by mg. And so the m's cancel. And so now we've got v squared over g times R. And so now the angle is going to be the inverse tangent of v squared over gr. And so this is going to be the inverse tangent of the numbers that we had. So I think we had 11.1 meters per second squared, but squared. And then down here we had 9.8 meters. Oh, sorry. This is just meters per second, but squared. Okay, and then we have meters per second squared down here. And then we have 30.6 meters. Okay, so we've got meters squared per second squared. And we got meters squared. And we got seconds squared, inverse second squared. And so you do this and you get 22.34 degrees. And so that is that. Okay, so when you're taking a turn, the important thing to remember is that it is the force of static friction that is providing the centripetal force that you need in order to navigate the turn. Okay, it's always going to be the force of static friction that is providing the centripetal force. It cannot be kinetic friction, because if it's kinetic friction, then that means that you're slip sliding, right? Instead of this point remaining in contact with the ground at a fixed radius from the center of the turn, what's happening is now you've got kinetic, so that means you're slip sliding, and so that means the radius of the turn is changing as you take the turn. You're skidding, right? And that's not what you want in order to make a nice circular turn. Okay, so I think that was it. Any questions? All right. Okay, so I think that is that'll be it for this morning. So if you are working through the exam and you need support, or you know you have questions, maybe the wording is weird or something, you know, just shoot me an email and we will try to resolve the matter. Okay, other than that, good luck, and I'll see some of you this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Take care.